Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Flashbang video interview. I'm your host, Mike Parkin, also known as Mike Out West, and I run the Flashbang Film Review website, and I'm also the co-host and editor for the DTV Digest podcast. In both cases, we look at films which didn't usually make it to the cinema and instead went straight to DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming media. In this episode, we'll be talking to the director and cast of Tribal Get Out Alive, the new British action horror movie starring Zara Phythian and Rosso Hennessy and directed by Matt Rutledge. Before we get into that, I just want to give you a little bit of a heads up. There's a little bit of a technical issue with this particular interview in that it doesn't cut to the person speaking as often as I would have liked. You do get to see a lot of me, unfortunately, because I waffle a lot, and the sound quality isn't the best, although everyone is very clear and you'll definitely understand what everyone's saying. I'm joined by the director and cast of Tribal Get Out Alive. We have its stars Rosso Hennessy and Zara Phythian.
Hey, Mike.
Hi there. We've also got Thomas Dodd and Grayson James Matthews.
Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
And our director is Matt Rutledge.
Hey, folks.
Awesome. I haven't forgotten anyone this time, have I? Brilliant. Good. Awesome. Guys, so you had your the premiere of the film yesterday, first time that anyone had a chance to watch this publicly. How did it go?
This is where we all don't want to jump in at the same time and overspeak each other, isn't it? I think it went well. It was very well received. It was streamed over, the tickets were sold by Eventbrite and it was streamed over Zoom. And I don't think that Zoom is the best platform for streaming videos live, but other than just a couple of little technical hiccups, I think it was very well received, and everyone I've spoken to, or the feedback we've had on social media, everybody absolutely loved the film, and we've got some really great reviews so far. So I think all in all, it was a success. I would have loved to have like a red carpet premiere and kind of done it physically, but obviously because of the current circumstances, that's not able, it wasn't possible. But I think, yeah, all in all, it was very well received.
Mm-hmm. I got to watch the film over the weekend as a screener from Evolutionary Films, and unfortunately, and justifiably, it had a big watermark across the front of it, so obviously I need to watch it again without that. But yeah. So I just want to jump straight in with Matt. This was your first directorial feature, I understand?
Yes.
So what drew you to this particular project?
Well, it's obviously I've always wanted to work with Zara again. Mm-hmm. I've worked with her twice before in the past, and this would give me the opportunity to work with her in a lead actress capacity. We already had a terrific cast already assembled by both Vic and Zara, and then. Obviously, they introduced me to Tom in Liverpool, because obviously they're all co-producing the movie, and it just sounded like a really interesting concept, great idea, blending action and horror, and for me it would have been perfect type of film for me to get involved in. And I think the icing on the cake was we were shooting in the Northwest as well, keeping it local. We shot the majority of the movie all in and around Liverpool.
That was going to be my next question, because so many British films seem to be very London-centric as well. So it's quite refreshing to see that opening sort of very panoramic shot of Liverpool's harbour, coming in. It's like, oh, this is a bit different, straight away. What was the choice behind that? Was it just because, was that the original setting of the film, or, what was just the location sort of suited?
Well, I think it was always meant to be in Liverpool, as far as I know. It was all meant to be there. Plus, we were fortunate enough to get the majority of the locations here as well, such as all the great underground ones you see in the film. We were very, very lucky to get some fantastic locations. And it just made sense to keep everything all together in the same place, in the same area. And hopefully that shows on screen when you see how good those underground tunnel networks look on screen. And yeah.
Cool. So Thomas, I want to quickly come to you to wake you up a bit. So you play the sort of the main bad guy in the film, basically, the sort of son of the guy who owned the farm, known to the police, shall we say, when we first meet him, and you probably have this sort of the heaviest lifting to do from an acting point of view, because you go through this sort of transformation from this sort of embittered person all the way through to this raging sort of monster towards the end of it. There's one scene in particular I really liked of yours where when you interact with the two police officers and you sort of look at them and go, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" And it's just like the hatred in your face, It's like you're spoiling for a fight at that point, It's just really, really well done. And then sort of Zara has to step in and go, "No, you guys go that way and that way."
Yeah.
So I mean, how did you find the actual sort of characterization?
Like with regards to me, like character development and me research and stuff like that, I was looking a lot at like psychopaths and different things like that, like, or even sociopaths, like people who are made like that, who, like, whether it be through money, the accumulation of power, that sort of stuff. People like the Joker. I took a big. There's one scene in there at the end where you see me laughing or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of like that's sort of like. That's sort of the best example of where the Joker comes out, really. But that's sort of like what I was going for. It was tough because, as I say, this is my first full-on acting role, not just doing fight scenes or stuff like that. So it was a big learning curve for me. But luckily, I had the likes of Zara and Ross, Grayson, Rachel there on set, on hand. Just give me more of like a mental prep, really. I sort of had an idea of what I had to do, but it was both intimidating having these people around, but it was also a blessing because you've got to keep up with these people. And as you say, I had quite a heavy arc, you know what I mean? So it was just really reassuring to have these people around me, and just when I weren't sure of myself, they made me sure of myself. So yeah, it was tough, but it was really, really rewarding.
At least you got to keep your accent.
Yeah, that was handy as well for me. I'm not going to lie, that was handy for me because obviously that's one of the hardest things to do. To do in acting is to do it, but keep it all the time as well. Do you know what I mean? And
sure.
I'd say the level of everyone else around me was so high that it felt a lot better for me to just stay in my regular accents as well.
Your sort of martial arts background, I wasn't familiar with. So when you started sort of throwing a few sort of jumping spin kicks, I was like, "Ooh, okay." What is your sort of martial arts background, if you don't mind?
It's something that I'm a bit uncomfortable with talking about, really, just because of the way I was trained. Like, we were always trained to, like, I couldn't really list off all my accomplishments because we were always trained. We were always taught, like, it's not about the medals or the trinkets. It's about the performances. Like, we get scolded. We could come first, but if we fought bad, we'd get scolded. We could get beat, but if we had an awesome fight or something like that, then we'd get love for it. So it's just been the way we've been conditioned. I've won multiple world kickboxing championships in multiple different 3- and 4-lettered organisations. WMO, WKA, WKC, all these sorts of things. I've done a bit of free karate, so like the little gloves on and stuff like that. I'm mainly into the striking aspects, karate, taekwondo, the mixed open tournaments. So that's where my martial arts background. I trained with Sensei Alfie Lewis. Like my most revered and precious athlete I've got in martial arts is my 3rd degree black belt from Sensei Alfie Lewis.
Oh, nice. I just want to move on to Grayson.
How are we doing?
There he is. Right. So Grayson, there's one part of the film you get one of the sort of nice sort of shock moments when things sort of kick off. And one of the things I like about the film, guys, is that sort of transition from this is a normal sort of job for you guys going in and sort of clearing out this farm, and the speed in which things sort of turn over from this is a procedural element to like a horror element, you know, because what you don't do is overplay it. You know, you don't have people sulking around in the background or anything like that. It's just like, okay, 2 guys go missing, the door slams shut, you know, it's on. And Grayson, you get this moment, which I must admit, I looked at it and thought, how did they do that? Basically, because it, you know, without sort of spoiling anything, it really does look like your arm.
Well, that's the thing, it is. But, yeah, again, without giving much away, well, I found it quite a little bit tricky to film because with Matt, the director, he's obviously looking through the camera, and I'm looking where I need to look in my head, but he says, actually, I need you to look more to the right-hand side, and to react and everything I found quite interesting because it's quite tricky when you're not looking where this situation happens. But just to react to it was quite a challenge for me, but I loved it. And then just progressing through the film as well, when dealing with stuff without giving things away, how to, because obviously we film over so many days, so to keep in that mind frame of what my character's going through at that moment in time, and that point, situations that's going on, was quite tricky, but you just had to kind of, you know, just retrace your steps and then go on again. That's a good thing. Obviously, I'll shout out, I've got to be nice to Ross sometimes, but Ross helped me sometimes with that as well, retracing the steps, and then we'll go through the story, right, what happened before, right, this is where we're moving on to next. So, yeah, it was fun. I was really excited to, and I was blown away when I saw the scene itself. And I've had a lot of people who've seen the film already mention it to me, and they really loved the.
It was a good effect, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, hello. Yeah, what's going on?
Daddy's doing an interview. Yeah.
Let's see what this.
That's me behind. Yeah. Gonna go back upstairs and see Mammy?
No.
No. Carry on talking a minute.
I think that's all right. It's funny because that was my next question was for Matt. No, so Zara and Matt, this was going to be for actually. So again, that's something that's impressive with this film is the way it handles the characters that you play. In that you're both ex-army, and when things go wrong, your inherent training just kicks in. You're very sort of calm under fire. You know, somebody's injured and you're dealing with it in a very calm, cool and collected way, which, you know, I've actually got a friend who was in the reserves as a medic, and he says that, yeah, but you know, that's just exactly the sort of thing that you would see in real life is that sort of very calm demeanor, just taking control, you know, and trying to solve the situation without sort of like resorting in hysterics. So it felt quite a realistic approach to those scenes.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of in my character and nature naturally anyway. But I think because our characters, you know, Caitlin and Brad, they are kind of the leaders of the group, and it's their responsibility to sort of, you know, be calm and take that leadership role and make sure that everything is yeah, they're kind of working through that and reassuring other people as well. And my sister and my brother-in-law are both ex-military as well, and other sort of family members. So I kind of took a little bit of experience and knowledge from those guys. But I think personally, I mean, let me give you a little story. So a couple of weeks ago, because of COVID, we've been doing kind of live videos with my martial arts school and students. And on a live video, my husband decided to throw his beer all over my laptop. And I sort of went into Caitlin mode because I'm kind of live doing this live chat and everything, and you know, I'm very worried about my laptop at this moment in time, but you know, was very calm and collected and kept my rage inside.
At least until you switch off.
Yeah, but my laptop's fine, and the beer was okay. So
oh, good, right. Dear, I don't know if I'd be quite as calm as that.
Yeah, well, I had lots of comments about how calm I was. So
oh, right.
Anyway, yeah, obviously he still eats at me.
Yeah, I suppose you've got to be mindful, as you know, that you are on camera, isn't it, as well? Dear.
Yeah.
So you mentioned COVID there as well, and yeah, I know a lot of martial arts schools have been doing similar sort of approaches. Had you actually sort of finished filming by the time sort of all this kicked off? I remember.
Yeah.
So when did sort of production finally sort of finish on the film?
We finished production in August, but we just had a couple of pickups in November. So we was already kind of way into post-production by that point, and I think Matt, I think you might be able to confirm this, that we've kind of almost finished post-production by sort of February time, coming to the end of February. So I think just before kind of the COVID situation hit, we were kind of ready to, you know, get the film out there and release it, etc. But yeah, obviously with lockdown and with you know, everything in place that's happened, we weren't able to have the premiere that we wanted, or you know, maybe have the release or theatrical release and things like that. So we decided to go a different route. And obviously Evolutionary Film, you know, are sort of responsible for selling it to different territories and things like that. But we were lucky in that sense, because it, you know, we'd already kind of finished production, principal photography was done, and it was way into the latter end of post-production by that point.
Cool. That's good to know. So this next question is, it's both for Matt and for, who was it? Tom. Sorry, Tom and Matt. So I just want to talk about the character of Vanya, played by Valerie Thomas, because a lot of your scenes were with her, Tom. But Matt, she sort of plays a very sort of morally ambiguous character, doesn't she? I mean, you're never sort of wholly sure sort of where she sits within the story. You know, is she a master manipulator, or is she a victim, as she sort of claims?
Yes, I think she for a very young actress, she plays it very well. You kind of get the impression you don't know what side she's on. Is she good? Is she bad? And that's exactly what we wanted to do with her character. We wanted to keep it a bit more like, does the audience really know which side she's going to swing? And obviously, without, I guess, giving too many spoilers away, her character has a bit of a twist later on in the film. But I think she's a good added element to the film. She's someone that you just surprised. She just appears out of nowhere. You're introduced to this new character. She joins the team. And it adds an extra, you know, a nice little another flavour to the movie, because I think one of the strongest things Tribal's got is this great ensemble cast of everybody being different characters, different martial arts styles. You know, one's serious, one's funny. So you've got a really nice variety that obviously a lot of audiences can relate to different characters.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom, I mean, she certainly plays well with your character in the film as well. You know, she's sort of able to appeal to your sort of greedy side, shall we say? You know, and sort of goad you into a pretty major decision.
Yeah, to me, that's sort of it's the old it's like the old Viking. Love songs, the way they used to bar them and stuff like that. It's like the sirens, it's the mermaids, it's the sort of the allure of a beautiful woman in it. Do you know what I mean? That's like which is a lot of which can be a lot of men's downfall. I think it's sort of he objectifies her, doesn't he, sort of thing, and I think it's sort of narcissism and is sort of his possessiveness and all that, and is sort of the relation she's got with his dad. I think he sees her somewhat as a useful idiot, and without giving nothing, I don't want to give nothing away. There's a twist to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, awesome. Yeah, I thought it worked really well. Lots of fighting in this film, guys. I think that's one of the things that does sort of stand out from any other sort of horror film is the sort of amount of fights, and we do finally get to see Zara sort of really sort of highlighting her skills on screen to a great degree. I especially love the chain punches. It's something you just don't see very much. I thought it was a sort of really good element. Who sort of came up with the sort of fighting styles for the film?
So I think all of the main actors with the fight scenes all have a martial art background. So Ross also has a martial art background in Krav Maga and kickboxing as well. Obviously Thomas does, and myself. So I think collectively we all had input. Samuel Kwok came aboard in terms of the Wing Chun and the Ip Man Wing Chun lineage, you know, hence the chain punches and the wooden dummy sequence at the start of the film as well. But I think all of the fight sequences kind of played to the characters and the story of the characters, but also our martial art backgrounds as well. So we collectively had input with the choreography. Nick Khan came on board with the weaponry choreography. Matt obviously had input, Vic had input. Chris Jones also came on board as an assistant fight coordinator and choreographer, and then Samuel Kwok as well. So collectively it was a team effort. What I will say though is that we were fortunate enough to be able to kind of shoot the previses of the fight, so we were able to sort of pre-record them, rehearse them, so ahead of time Matt could already you know, plan the shots that were needed. So when we turned up on the day, it was a case of having a rehearsal, but we knew what was needed, maybe tweak a few things here and there, but it allowed us to get the shots that we needed in time, because a lot of times when you shoot action, you need a couple of days to kind of get it right, and sometimes you just don't have that luxury. So I think that was a major benefit for us, especially in terms of the micro budget film and the constraints that we had. So we all had a collective input in that, really.
Cool. Because I mean the fights are sort of generally quite short, you know, short and sharp and to the point, basically, you know, but very visceral and very deadly at the same time. You know, these people aren't messing around, and neither are you. So, I mean, how much time did you have to sort of work out sort of each sort of fight scene?
So we spent a few days at my academy on each fight, choreographing the fight. So, for example, myself and Tom and Matt choreographed our fight in the course of the day. We sort of blocked that out in different sections. Because we filmed that as well, we were able to then go away and learn our fight routine and rehearse in our own time, so that when we did come together, we could have a short rehearsal time ready to sort of go on set. And we shot them, I mean, sometimes we shot sequences that were very short, like 1 or 2 moves, and sometimes we shot quite long sequences, you know, maybe 15, 20 moves. And what I liked about the way that we did that was Matt wanted to make sure we had a continuation of the fight scenes, so it wasn't just like quick cuts everywhere. So sometimes we didn't have very long to rehearse, but because we'd spent the time planning, you know, Ross came and did his rehearsals day, so he already had a good idea of what his fights were going to be, as Tom did, and everything as well. So the pre-choreographing that really helped on the day, because we didn't have that much rehearsal time in that sense.
Matt, sorry, Ross, I think you've been sort of left out, so I'll just sort of jump over to you. How is it working with Zara again? Because you've collaborated a few times now on the what was it called, the Dragon Kingdom films?
Yeah, I've done a couple of films with Zara and her husband Vic, and know them very well, and it's always a pleasure. I think our friendship came across on camera quite well. That's what's been picked up in all the review. Everyone's talked about the chemistry and the camaraderie that we've got. So it's nice that something that's so natural is being picked up by the camera.
Absolutely. And may I say as well, you get the best line in the film at the end, the one that starts twice as strong, twice as fast. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Really enjoyed that. Yeah, no, I mean, overall, as I said, I haven't quite finished writing my review yet, but it's in the works, and it's a very enjoyable film. It's very different to what we've seen before, and it's great to have a sort of a British sort of horror thriller of this ilk sort of coming out. So, guys, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you for having us.
That's fine. So just as an aside, as I said to Matt earlier, I will be putting out a review towards the end of the week. This will be going up more or less the same time as well. Just one thing, Ross, if you want me to take out your son's scenes.
No, you can leave it. You can leave him in. Little bugger is fine.
No problem.
The money shot, that.
Yeah, his first 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, there you go.
Hang on, Grayson. I need to ask Grayson a question before we go. Grayson, why are there birthday balloons behind you? Whose birthday is it?
It was Danny's birthday a couple of weeks ago, I think. So I think they just kept them.
Did you buy her something nice?
Yes.
tell us on live on camera, what did you buy your girlfriend of all importance that means everything to you and you would die without her? What is she worth to you?
You can't put me on the spot like that.
Yes, I can. What did you buy her?
I got her something nice and simple. I bought her, so when she came and visited me in Bath, I got her a nice canvas picture of me and her on Pulteney Bridge, which is quite famous.
I got her a canvas picture of me. Is that what you're saying?
I thought that's what you were going to say then. You got a canvas picture of yourself.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, that should just be amazing in itself. Hello. No, a couple's picture of both of us. So romantic, romantic, yeah. Ross.
Yeah. And Bath's a nice place to take a picture as well. So
it is. Ross, don't come and visit.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go. I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks a lot, Mike. Bye, guys. See you all soon.
Good night.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
You made it to the end. That's great. Thank you to the cast of Tribal and for Matt Rutledge for joining us this evening, for joining me this evening even. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I hope you liked Ross O'Hennessy's little special guest appearing, and also Grayson getting grilled at the end, which I think sort of really exemplifies the camaraderie that obviously had built up between the cast members. The film is being released by Evolutionary Films on the 17th of August. And you'll find a link in the footnotes. It's already available in the US, but I'll put a couple of links in the footnotes as well as the trailer. If you haven't checked it out already, then please do so and give this film a shot.